Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to episode 10, Jane, episode 10 of StarFlower Journals with myself, Kerry me, Kerry Marie. Now, we were having a wee giggle before we actually pressed record because I was saying that I look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards and half asleep. But our beautiful Jane here, our beautiful guest, thinks she looks pasty, and I have to disagree. I don't think she does. So,
It's my lighting. It's my
it's your
beautiful lighting.
so we're bringing forward to you a podcast where
Oh,
I look like I'm half asleep and dragging my head backwards. Energies, let's put it that way, energies. And Jane looks pasty, even though she doesn't. Anyway, I'm very honored to have our beautiful Jane with us. She is such a beautiful soul, such a beautiful part of my soul family. She is much support and strength for me, and I'm very grateful to have her here sharing
aw.
it all. I'm excited to hear her story. Now, the beautiful thing is, I know a little bit about Jane's story, but I don't know everything. So, and sometimes I kind of like to keep it that way. And I've always wondered, like, it's all about me. But to be honest with you, I don't think
You're gonna break out the song.
this is what these podcasts are all about, right?
Well, I like to tune. So should we be tuning?
Yeah,
No, just
you tuning. You do your tuning, I'll do my singing. I don't know if that would stick to the day job.
no, no. We don't want to upset Emma anyway with
No,
the
Irma.
tuning.
Oh. No, Irma's watching this maybe at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, our beautiful Jane has agreed to come on and talk about her journey and her experience. And I'm really excited for her to share this with the all because the parts that I do know about Jane's story is very will give a lot of beautiful souls out there
Yeah.
insight as to how things can happen and turn unexpectedly when you least expect it. And that's all I need to say.
Oh, is that yeah, so true.
So, with that being said, I'm going to hand the beautiful stage over to our beautiful Jane, who thinks she's pasty, but she's not, to share her story. So, Jane, the floor is yours, beautiful, and I'll pop in now and then. You know what I am.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, thank you, Carrie, for having me on. And as Carrie said, my name is Jane. And I don't really talk about my journey too much because, you know, I try to be in the present right now and not like let's look at my past or whatever. But every once in a while, you have to look at your past to see how much you've actually grown and to go forward too. So I want to say that I probably have been on this journey off and on probably my whole life, I would say. I probably awakened in 2020, but I had different aspects of knowing different things when I was younger. And I've always been able to feel energy. I've always been able to really hone in on people's energy and and I would always walk into a room and I could read it and I could spot it. And like even with my friends, I could tell even if they wouldn't like portray themselves having a bad day, I could feel it. And so I would always, say, "Do you want a hug?" And they look at me like, "I'm okay." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, but kind of feel like you're not okay."
Yeah.
And it would always floor people because they'd be like, "How did you know that?" Kind of thing. So I was the youngest of four girls, or I am the youngest of four girls. And my parents at the time were in their like mid 30s when they had me. And I was like their second family, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
I had my sisters that were older.
Mm-hmm.
When I was born, my sisters were 15, 13, and 11 when I
Wow.
was born. Yeah, so when I say that, it's not a second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like they had my sisters and they were all grown up and then they're here comes me, kind of
The little
along or whatever, you know.
so,
And and I know my parents like never like said it to be like mean or anything, but they would always say, "Well, you were an accident, but you were loved." And I was like, "Well, what does that even mean?" When you're little, it's like, okay, all I hear is the love, and I'm like, well, that's cool. I'm loved.
yeah.
And so my sisters were all older doing their thing, and so I felt like for all my life that I was like an only child, but yet I still had my three older sisters. So like in school when they would say, they would always say, um, how does your personality or how do you relate to being an only child or how do you relate to being the youngest in the family? Well, I would have traits in both,
Okay.
which was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so you know how they always have to label you.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh, we all well, like as a society, we do love a label, don't we? We do.
yeah, we do. Well, we do. I'm trying to get out of that. And, sometimes it's just hard it kind of throws in there every once in a while.
Yeah.
But so when I was born, um, my well, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. So I was born Roman Catholic or Catholic Catholicism, and pretty much I want to say anybody that was in my like that came in contact with me was that religion. I didn't know any other religion but that religion.
Okay.
So I wasn't ever till I was older. And maybe I was, and I just never realized it, but I never went to a different church. I never went to churches with friends until I was older.
Okay.
So I never got to experience what other religions were like. And I thought everybody was Catholic. I thought I didn't know, like
Okay.
when you're little, you don't know the religions and you don't know you're
Yeah.
Catholic. You just
Yeah.
know that you go to Sunday school and you just know that that's what you do.
So can I ask,
So
a Catholic school that you went to as a child, was it like because like I know here in Aberdeen anyway, we've got one Roman Catholic school in Aberdeen. There's none in the town that I live, but in Aberdeen there's one Roman Catholic school for the Catholics to go and
well, okay. So if I said Catholic school, sorry, but okay. So I went to normal school. I went to like normal public schools.
right, okay.
My sisters they went to the Catholic elementary. They went to the Catholic middle school, and then they moved to a different town. And so then my parents just put them in public school. And then my parents were going to send them to the Catholic high school that they were building. And
Right.
then my dad, gotta love him. he put a big kibosh on that.
Okay.
And well, here's the deal. So my sisters would have had to have driven like, I don't know, I want to say like 30 to 40 minutes to school. And my dad wasn't too keen on that.
Yeah, okay.
There being new drivers, or my mom was going to have to drop them off. And he was like, why did they have to put it there? Why couldn't they put it central? I just remember a big argument in my house about that when I was little. But so I didn't, but my son did. So I can speak about it on his. So we have the elementary that goes to, it goes from kindergarten to 8th grade.
Okay.
And then you go to the high school that is 9th through 12th. That's
All
how
right.
it here
Okay.
goes.
So what ages is that? Sorry, it's like for people that don't live in the States.
Um,
I've always found this interesting because we do it completely different here, the education system.
Kindergarten is when you're 5 years old, and then you got first when you're 6, and second when you're 7, third when you're 8,
Mhm.
fourth when you're 9, fifth when you're in 10th grade, and then sixth, seventh, and eighth is 11th, 12th, and 13th. And then high school is 14 through 17 or 18.
Right, okay.
And
That's
you guys call them something different. You guys call them secondary, and which we kind of do too. We call them secondary, our middle
the
schools too.
academy, yeah, but they go up
Oh,
to
academy. That's
the
right.
academy, yeah. Well, where I live anyway, but the kids here are in primary school from primary
That's right.
one to
Primary.
primary seven. So it's like from the
Okay.
ages of 5 up until 11, 10,
Mm-hmm.
11. Then they go
Yep.
to the academy and they're in the academy until the age of like 16. And
Yep.
then they choose whether they're gonna like do further education and go on to college or university. So it's like a young age that they kind of like choose from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
just find the education system really interesting all over the world.
Well, in we call our you call them universities. We call them universities too, but then we kind of like shorten it and say college.
Ah, okay.
But that's the extended version or whatever.
Mhm.
So then my dad's like, yeah, well, we're not doing that or whatever. So but there was, when I was growing up, there was so much discussion on religion in my house.
Okay.
And I think it was because, pretty sure I know it was because my dad, he he was born Episcopalian,
Okay.
which I think every Christian, I think every Christian religion is very similar.
Hmm.
Um, it's Jesus Christ, you got God, all that kind of thing. But the Catholics tend to just delve more into the Jesus part of it,
Okay.
the teachings of Jesus and that kind of stuff.
I vouch for that.
So,
I'm Catholic myself. Yeah.
yeah. And we have a lot of like, not idol. Well, yeah, we have a lot of, we have a lot of like statues
Mhm.
that other religions don't have. We have stained glass. I don't know if other religions have that, but those were the things that were the big thing. Is I remember when I was a little older and I went to a friend's non-denominational, and I was like, there's no statues. there's
What's up with it?
there's no, not, there,
Mhm.
how you have like, the water when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
and at the front, nothing like that, and it was just different. But anyway, I regress. I'm too much forward now. But um so going back to when I was younger, I've always felt energy. I just never knew what it was. I just always thought it was just me you
Hmm.
know and I remember, this was a memory that just came back, but when it came back, I remember like the whole thing, like it just happened. So I think I was about, I want to say 4, I want to say. And I was I was super sensitive as a kid. And I think it's because I felt everybody's energy. And I was, my parents would say, oh, she's emotional, or she's sensitive. Oh, there's the labels again.
Yeah, the labels.
And, and, you know, she'll cry if we tell her that kind of thing. And I'm just, whatever. And so I was always worrying about like how other people felt around me.
Okay.
Like, are you okay? And give you a hug and I'll give you a stuffed animal kind of thing. So I think that why this stuff comes up is because of that part of me. So when I was about 4, I remember being in the living room and I played with Barbies all the time. And I would have full on conversations with them. And my parents always said that I had a huge imagination,
Mm. Or was it?
or was it? See, okay. Well, anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So I was playing with my Barbies, and my mom walked by, and I said, and I couldn't ever say the lady's last name next door, and my parents never wanted me to call them by their first name because that was not respectful.
Mhm.
You have to remember this is like the early 70s, and it's like my parents were older and they were like, no, you have to call her Mrs., you know. And so I would always call her Mrs. Norma because I could never say her last name, Mrs. Norma.
Oh,
And
cute.
so, and I would go visit Mrs. Norma. I loved Mrs. Norma. And so I remember my mom walking by me, and I said, Mom, I go, we're going to have to go over and see Mrs. Norma later. And she goes, why? And I go, because Mrs. Norma hurt her foot. And she's like, what do you mean she hurt her foot? And I go, well, she hurt her foot. And she goes, I just seen Norma. She was outside. She goes, she didn't hurt her foot. She goes, yes. And I go, yes, she did. I go, yes, she did. I saw it. And she's like, okay. And half the time I would come up with stuff and my parents would be like, okay. They would be like, that's when they would say, you have a huge imagination kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
would draw things and stuff. So the next day, I don't remember what I'm doing. And my mom comes running in the house. She has this panic look on her face. And she says, how did you know that Norma hurt her foot? And I go, because I saw it. And she's like, well, Norma just told me it just happened today. And you told me this yesterday. And I go, I don't know. I saw it. And okay, so when you're a kid, think back to when you're a kid.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
You don't dwell on like,
No.
oh, whatever. And so I'm like, I just blew it off and I was like, yeah, whatever, whatever. And so my mom got nervous and she sat down and she said, because this wasn't the first time.
No, there had been many times before. Okay.
Like I knew the dog was going to get hurt. So my mom, it was always with people like injuring themselves.
Okay.
I
You,
saw that
interesting. Okay.
because I was wanting to help.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom got nervous. And she never said this, but this is what I feel. Like she was thinking I was doing it or something.
Oh, so she thought that maybe that you, oh,
Caused it.
no. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Like
yeah.
she got nervous because she didn't know. Because think back, just only recently, probably like maybe the 10 last like maybe 10, 15, 20 years, we've really heard about mediums and people that be able to like see into the future or see things ahead of time or that kind of thing back then. And if they did, they kept it on the down low,
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And you have to remember that I was like my mom was very Catholic. I'm talking very Catholic, very, we got to do whatever the church says and, make sure that we're all good, that kind of thing. And so,
Yeah, I can see that. I can feel it because, her belief
yeah,
system, etc. Then she's got
right.
a beautiful child that, is predicting the future as such. That's something that you should not do within that religion. So in her mind, she'll be thinking, oh my God, the devil's got me. Does that make sense? Like, and
Yeah,
I'm talking about that from experience because I know,
right.
like, I've been called many a thing, with regardless, from parts of my family, and that's okay, that's beautiful,
I get it.
because I've always been interested in this type of thing from a very young age. And that was a no, 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 you don't do that. So continue, Jane. Yes.
So it wasn't the first time. And so what I felt myself doing, because I could feel people. So I felt my mom being like nervous, and I didn't want to upset her. So what I did is the only thing that I can say, because is I took these shades and I pulled them down
Mhm.
in my mind's eye so I wouldn't be able to see anything into the future anymore. So I couldn't do my clairvoyance anymore. I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I put those down so then I could not make people like upset, because she kept saying, we don't want to make people upset. They won't understand, and we don't want to make them upset. So let's just keep that to ourselves.
Mm.
And then don't say anything to her, because she won't understand, that she'll be like, what are you talking about? I just did it today. Because me, I, I could have just said, oh, because pretty I was a I was pretty happy go lucky kid. I was pretty, I
Yeah.
was, I was pretty,
Well,
I've always been a half full kind of person instead of a half empty kind of person. I've
yeah,
always felt pretty upbeat all the time, even. And
even
it's not that's just the way I am,
yeah.
you know?
That must have been
So,
like, like as a young child and stuff, and for you that was normal, but then
yeah,
did you ever feel like you were doing something wrong when you were doing like when you were seeing these type of things, or
no, because I didn't know.
you didn't know?
Just thought I was seeing a movie in my head.
Interesting.
But when it was people I recognized,
Mm-hmm.
then that's because I'm thinking it feels like I had seen other things, but I just didn't know what it was.
Was
And I drew a lot of pictures too, and there was like castles. Not that a kid, I'm just saying, not that a kid is not going to draw a castle, but it felt more than that. It was, I don't know. I drew castles, and I didn't know what unicorns were. I drew unicorns, and I drew dragons, and I drew just all kinds of stuff, you know? And also, being a Catholic, this is your one and done, and you don't reincarnate, and this is it. And
mm-hmm.
so I personally think I was probably revisiting and seeing past lives, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like that.
I don't know.
It definitely does. And knowing what I know.
Well, knowing what we know now, but not back then.
Well, back then, that goes
Right.
to show you that even at a very young age, and I've said this in a couple of podcasts, even at a very young age, this is why your childhood's important, and this is why connecting back to that childhood's important and that inner child, because the inner child always had the knowing, right? The inner child always had the knowing, the inner child always had the foresight. So if you can connect back to that and look at that inner child and see what that inner child used to do, what you used to say, believed. Like I used to play with the fairies and I used to like make like rose petal perfume and everything with the fairies. I thought this was great fun.
And
Toothpaste soda was another one that we liked making, like me and the fairies. It was great fun. And like part of me is elemental. As I've like discovered and opened up to who I truly am, I'm quite an elemental, like fae type person. So this is why it's really important that when you go through your awakening, and you can chirp in with this with like your thoughts,
hmm
what you feel,
absolutely. Sure.
when you go through your awakening, there's always this aspect where you need to connect into that inner child. And that inner child, people are like, what is an inner child? Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Is that childlike version of you? If you ever seen Drop Dead Fred, Drop Dead Fred, it used to be one of my favorite, right? I love Drop Dead Fred.
That is something else, that
That's
movie.
something else. That is brilliant. Like
Yeah.
seriously, such a good
Yeah.
movie. And that portrays for me what the inner child actually is when she connects to the younger version of her and they become one, and she like brings that inner child into her, makes her feel safe. That for me at the very end of the movie,
Mhm.
that for me explains what the inner child is. What's your intake with regards to that?
Well, that's spot on because like when you're silly and you like dance around and you sing a song or whatever, and it's like your childlike wonder coming out,
Yeah.
probably just your inner child coming out going, oh, this is what I used to do and I really liked this feeling and it made me so happy when I was little. And that's why people always say, throw a radio on or dance around or just be silly and go outside and dance around and be silly. Who cares what other people think?
Yeah.
And I just know personally, we'll get back to my story, but I just know personally that when I did a lot of healing, it was a lot of inner child. I never knew why. And I think it was because I suppressed a
Mhm.
lot of stuff. And you know what? I just want to preface this with we all can do special things. And
Yep, I agree.
I believe in my heart, I feel in my heart that we can all do this stuff. It's just that some people may be a little bit more, it might be a little bit more stronger. Like we just have different things that are just our specialties, but I feel like we can do everything.
Yeah.
And over the years, well, not years, but over the centuries, and that we've suppressed them as a society.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that because, like, when you're a child, all you want to do is just grow up and be an adult. So you kind of like suppress that childlike version of you, even like when you get to the age of 10, you're like, I'm a big person, I'm a big girl, and that little cute little version of you that, what's lovely and thing, it gets put into the back burner. And then
mhm,
you want to be older, you want to grow up, and then when you hit adulthood, for me, it was like, oh, I wish I was back at school. Oh, I wish I was like running around on my bike and everything. And but then life gets in the way, and then you pull away from that childlike version of yourself because you've got the bills, you've got this to pay, that to do, work to see to. You forget about your inner child. You really do.
mhm.
And like for me, when you connect into that inner child version of you, you do a lot of your healing. This is where you
Oh,
begin.
yeah,
Yeah,
I did too.
your
Yeah.
abandonment, your rejection, and all the things that you're bullied with, but you also see the magic, like what your inner child, that knowing of that inner child was trying to show you.
Mhm.
So when you start connecting into that as an adult and remembering that version of yourself, some people are like, oh no, I can't do that. Like that was years ago. Like I can't be, I'm
Yeah.
an adult now. I can't like go and jump in muddy puddles or play in the dirt or make rose petal perfume with the fae. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Because like allow yourself that freedom. Allow yourself to be a child again because I don't know about you, but sometimes being an adult all the time is really fucking boring. Like it is. It is. It's so stressful. Like when you connect into that inner child version of yourself, you just play and it's so much fun when you play and you find your creativity and you connect into that creativity and this is when all the magic and the miracles happen. So, I agree with you.
Hmm. See, my personality has always been pretty, um, well, I used to get this thing that they'd say, you need to grow up,
Yes.
like, and you got to be serious
Yes.
because if you know me, I'm not serious.
No, I think
You
we
know,
can both
I came to Scotland and they called me cheeky. I'm like, what the hell is cheeky? I'm
agree.
like, okay, I'm cheeky. But I mean, I've always had that like sarcastic fun, like I don't
Mhm.
know, that's just my personality, and it's like I can't change it.
No.
Can't change it. Except for, obviously I did the corporate thing and you gotta be cool. But you
Yeah.
gotta be like I was the fun manager that we did fun stuff and that kind of stuff. But um you gotta like pick and choose or whatever.
Yeah.
Like today I was thinking I was gonna have to be serious on here or something.
No! Don't you dare. Like everybody, anybody and everybody that comes on this
Just,
podcast, you'd like
oh, I'm just saying.
be serious. Like, do I look serious? I think some people look at me and go, she's a
I
rock.
know.
If you know what I mean? Like, is she all there? Is she on this earth? Because,
Oh,
like, I'm like, not always, not always. Because I said to Jane, we're actually recording this on a full moon. And I said to Jane,
oh,
I am,
there's a full moon out my window.
yeah, full moon. It's getting lighter there, right? Because you can see the beautiful light coming in against your beautiful face. Anyway,
I'm not pasty anymore.
you're not pasty. She's never pasty, but she said she was pasty.
I know, whatever.
But where was I? Yeah, no, full moon energy. See, scatterbrain.
Inner child, having fun, being cheeky.
Yeah,
I
being
don't know.
cheeky. I was like, I'm bloody knackered today, and I am. Like, I had to come home for a nap, and then I was like, okay, right, let's go. But I'm perking up. Like I'm perking up. The energy is like it's really good energy. So no,
Mhm.
never ever be serious. See what I mean? We've went from being serious to talking about the full moon to blah 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 blah. Like this is what we do here, and that's
We're
okay.
all over.
It's
No,
fun. I hope it's
it's fun. Thank you.
fun when they watch. Like I really do. And they're not sitting there going, I'm like,
Well,
ah,
okay.
no.
Here's the deal.
Right.
You know, did you know that it takes more muscles in your face to make a frown than it does to make a smile? Just saying.
Ah,
Just
okay.
saying.
No, I
Yeah, I'd rather have smile lines than frown lines. So,
yeah, I would rather smile lines than frown lines. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Okay.
okay, so,
Where were we?
oh, yeah. So, clairvoyant. Okay, so I was very, I wanted to know everything in life. My poor mother, I swear. Um, I had a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I questioned a lot of things. And the things that I questioned were church related.
Oh, you really put her through her paces, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So,
Okay.
okay, so you have to remember
Mm-hmm.
that I grew up. So we went to church all the time. So I know what the church looks like. I know that there's a cross with Jesus hanging in front of the church, which what is that? But anyway,
Yeah,
um,
dress them.
anyway, And I know there's statues. I know we got stained glass. I know we have to genuflect. I know we have to, you know, do this, that, and the other. And so I'm getting up to my second birthday, or I was in second grade, so I was 7. So when you're 7 years old, you go through the sacrament of the Eucharist.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eucharist is you're learning about Jesus and his teachings and the host and the wine and that kind of stuff. Okay. So my poor catechism teacher, um, I wouldn't ask her questions, but I go home and ask my mom questions. So she, she, the lady talks about how the Eucharist, which is like the wafer
Mm-hmm.
in, yeah, and that is to depict the body of Christ, and
Okay.
the blood and the wine is the blood of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And that when we take those things, we embody him, and we, his body goes into us and whatever, that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I go home and I'm like, because you have to remember that at every single mass we do the Eucharist and we do the wine. And so I've seen this all my 7 years of my life. I know what it is. I just didn't know what it was
Okay.
supposed to be,
Yeah.
the symbolism to it. So I go home and I'm mortified because I don't want to eat Jesus because
Oh,
I'm 7.
bless you.
I'm
Oh,
7. I'm 7.
okay.
I don't want to eat Jesus and I don't want to drink his blood because
Interesting.
I don't want to do that.
Oh, oh, okay.
because I
Oh,
because I don't want to do that. Because
no.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Why do we have to do that? I don't get it. My mom's like,
Mm-hmm.
God help me. She'd be like, here we go. So she'd have to explain it to me in my 7-year-old terms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we're not literally eating Jesus and we're not drinking his blood. It's just symbolism. Well, I don't know what symbolism is when I'm 7.
No.
She's like, we're just embodying him, and you're just learning about his teachings and about the Last Supper, and that kind of thing. And so in in catechism, whenever we would go through, we would have a little book, and we would go through a chapter every Wednesday. We would go through it or whatever, and I would have to draw a picture, and then my parents would have to sign off to it.
Oh, okay.
Because then they could sit down if there was questions. Well, you know me. And then I would bring it back and have to show my teacher or whatever. So I don't have that book anymore.
Mm.
Um, the universe works in mysterious ways. Like when I was probably 12 or 13, we had a flood in our basement, and all of my things when I was little that I wanted to keep everything and look at it, and so all of it got ruined. So I don't have any of my pictures that I drew that my mom kept. I don't have my little first communion book that I drew and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. There's a reason for the season, there's a reason for all
Oh,
that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
because they didn't want me to dwell on it and stuff. But anyway, so that's second grade. So then I get to, and they changed it in America now. The Catholic Church wants you to do confession and the Eucharist in second grade, which I don't agree with that, but whatever. But when I was growing up, it was in fourth grade when I was 9, when you would have to go to the priest and confess your sins and learn about it. It's called the Sacrament of Reconciliation.
Mm.
And I had a hard time with that too. Because, oh, my mother. Um, I came home and I was like, Mom, I pray to God and I pray to Jesus all the time. So why can't I just tell my sins to Jesus and God? Why do I got to tell it to the priest? Well, she'd be like, well, Jayne, he's the conduit between, Jesus came here to, show the teachings, and that's what the priest does is you confess and then he relays the message. And I'm just like, but why? And then finally at this point she would just tune me out and she'd say, because that's just the way it is. Because
Okay.
then she gets super frustrated with me because she's like, well, that's the way the Catholic Church is, Jayne. It's been that way for 1,000 years. I don't know. And whatever.
So it's almost
And
like
I can't fault my mom. I can't fault my
you're
mom because that's it's like when you have a child that's really inquisitive and really asking questions that are uncomfortable questions that maybe you don't know yourself. I get it.
but goes to show you, right? Using your story as an example, and we're all guilty of this. We like majority of us go through life and we don't question anything. We just take that as gospel and we go ahead with it. We don't because we think that's how it should be done and that's how it should be
Yeah.
normal. But when you recognize or you're the inquisitive one and you start questioning the world, etc., you're almost seen as like the conspiracy theorist or you're
That
different, you're weird, like or
well,
the
those
black
those
sheep.
words those words back then, they didn't say conspiracy theory back then. They just, if they didn't throw that around like they do now. But yeah, I get, yeah,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like black sheep.
Black
Yeah.
sheep, you're the black sheep. You're the one that was like came out the black one, and when you're the one that's the rebellious one, you're the one that breaks the rules. Oh my
Or
Lord,
I'm
how dare you
or
break
I'm
the
or
rules?
I'm difficult.
Or difficult. Yeah. Oh, I used to get that all the time.
Yeah,
Carrie, why are you such the difficult one?
difficult
Why are
one.
you so difficult? And it's like, I don't know about you, but that made me feel like a piece of shit whenever I used to get called difficult.
Well, I would always say,
Sorry, excuse my language.
why am I difficult? I mean, so
Hmm.
I asked a question. That's difficult?
Yeah.
It's because I questioned what they didn't know. And instead of saying, you know what, I'm not sure. This is the way I was. She could have just said, this is the way I was taught.
Hmm.
This is the teachings. I'm not sure. Thank you for bringing it to my attention, kind of thing. Now I do stuff to my, and now my son will do that to me. Well, now he's older, but when he was younger, I'd say, you know what, I'm going to have to get back to you on that because I am not sure.
Beautiful.
Because I never wanted to make him feel like, I never shut him down for asking a question because
Mhm.
I didn't want him, I wanted him to be curious, like
Yeah.
all his life.
Yeah.
So I would say pretty much after, I want to say after I was probably 10 or 11, I pretty much stopped asking questions about the church
Okay.
because I was done.
You were done? Like, what do you mean you were done? Like,
I just didn't want to upset my mom. I upset her like all the time. And I was still, I was, I'm obviously, still Catholic at that point.
mhm.
And I how you just kind of like just say, I guess maybe I was just imagining things
Mhm.
or just maybe because I was always told I have a huge imagination. And so then you start embodying that and then it's like maybe I just need to like not ask any more questions and it's just the way it is kind of thing, you
Yeah,
know?
start feeling bad for asking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I never, regardless, I used to sit in a room and I'd always be called the difficult one just for being present. Like, I'm not even joking, Jane. I used to always say if I hid in a cupboard, the whole world would turn to like absolute chaos and the finger would be pointed at me because, like, that's just what people did. And then I thought about, do you know what? Maybe I'll
Oh,
just
not
stick to,
nice.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry for laughing. That's not
no,
very nice.
no.
That's just like,
And then I thought about maybe if I just stick pictures of my face all over the place and just if in doubt blame this woman, like seriously, and like I used to like drama. Excuse me. Drama would follow me wherever I went, and I was always the one that got like the finger pointed at because I was different. Because like I always tried to like because I
ask
did
questions,
yeah,
probably.
ask questions, but I
Be
knew
inquisitive.
yeah, inquisitive. I knew when to ask the questions, and I knew to be like I knew when to behave. And
Hmm.
when I didn't ask the questions, there was a reason for me not asking the questions. So then I would conform. But then that would suppress me so beyond suppression that I would end up really depressed. And then this is where the self, like, I disconnected from the self. I didn't know who I was because I was following the leaders, I was following society. And
Yeah.
then, I felt like I was always doing something wrong. But then I noticed later on in life that it's just within the stars, it's my makeup of who I am as such. And this is maybe why I did certain things, why I went on the defense quite a
Yeah.
lot, right?
Yeah.
Because in Vedic astrology, I'm a Pisces moon, which is very like sensitive, very like psychic, that kind of sort of. And I always thought, well, in the Western, let's bring astrology into this a little bit. In the Western, I'm Virgo, Aries, and Taurus, so I'm Earth and Fire. But in Vedic, I am all water and all fire. And I'm like, this is really interesting. So there's aspects of me that are really fiery, but I'm really sensitive. And I am really sensitive, but I just didn't realize how sensitive I was. And some people used to take that as, oh, you're really sensitive. Oh, here we go. She's crying again. Oh, like, is she normal? Blah, blah, blah. Like that sort
I
of,
got that same thing.
yeah, yeah. Right, carry on. I've finished my piece now.
No, that's okay. No, it's like it's that label thing, and and the sensitive is, and I didn't know this until I got older, and these are just names and labels or whatever, but we're all like that, and they call us empaths
Mm,
because we're sensitive to people's energies, we're sensitive to the world's energies, we're sensitive to the earth's energies, we're just sensitive in general,
yeah,
and we feel everything. I feel everything,
yeah, I can feel it.
but
Yeah, you
you
once
know
you start beginning opening up and working on your energy and your consciousness, you feel energies a mile away. You can feel like even here, I can feel Jane. Jane could probably feel me.
yeah, I do.
Like if I just think of someone, I can feel them. It's really
Yeah.
bonkers. You like
Yeah.
feel that energy, and almost like you said, you read that room, so you end up having the tools of you know when to speak and you know when to approach, and then you're like, no, they need space, give them space, don't go there, blah blah blah. Like I find it really interesting that you're so suppressed and so conditioned to that's not normal having that knowing as an inner child and that intuition as an inner child to then bridging into that again, that connection into the self. Like
Hmm.
as you awaken, as you like you're connecting into your inner child, you become the child again.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
the parent is within you. That
Hmm.
parent, like you're the parent, you're everything, you're the encompassing all. You're the parent, you're your grandparent, you're the great grandparent, you're the earth, you're the sea, you're the sky, you're everything.
Hmm.
You're absolutely
Absolutely.
everything.
Because you feel everything, you are everything. That's just my concept.
No, that's my concept also. That's what I believe also. So this like going through life and waking up. and your background's really interesting because it feels like your religion had a lot to play in terms of your consciousness of who you are and
Yes.
that awakening
Mhm.
like part of self.
Yep. I'll get more to that in a minute, but
Cool.
yeah. So, um, so, high school was just normal. I just, I actually put all my energy into, I wasn't into sports, but I was into cheerleading.
Mm,
I was into band. I really loved music. And it's interesting because I used to hum a lot, that kind of thing. And my mom was a huge singer. She liked that kind of stuff. So when we get more to what I'm creating now, you'll get that. But I'll talk about that in a minute. But so I was still Catholic. I didn't go to church every Sunday because I was at college and I didn't. My parents, when I was growing up, I was a I was a really good kid. I didn't really get in that much trouble. I was a people pleaser, probably still am to a little bit, trying to get out of it, kind of dreaming. So I was a people pleaser, and I saw all the difficulty my mom and dad had with my older sisters, and I'm like, I don't want to put them through that with me.
mm,
I remember my sisters always saying, "Oh, well, we paved the way for you. Now it's like smooth sailing." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever."
mhm,
Um, you know, and I always felt a disconnect to my sisters because I didn't grow up with them. So I know they're my sisters, but yet not.
mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
So, they would come over for Christmases and they had their kids and stuff, but I felt more of a connection with my niece that's only 7 years younger than me than
Okay.
my sisters that were my sisters.
Mhm.
So, so my parents like really protected me a lot. Wouldn't let me go to parties when I was in high school. I tried alcohol a little bit with them, and stuff like that. But when I went to college,
Not so well, no.
I went a little wild. I mean, I did good in school, I mean, I knew that I had to, but I was
It's like
too
the
per
make for
too
all.
per too
Yeah.
promiscuous and
Mhm.
just alcohol involved and that kind of thing. But and then I met my husband. Well, not my husband then, but my husband now. I met him in school at college. He lived across the hall from me, and we didn't like each other.
No, you didn't.
No, no. But
Uh,
then we grew to like each other.
oh, I love love.
And so then after I graduated from college, then I came home and lived with my parents for a little while. Um, because Rob was trying to figure out what he wanted to do, and he was back up north with his mom and dad, and I'm from the Lower Peninsula, Michigan, and Rob is from the Upper Peninsula. So we were like 7 hours away from each other. And so
Wow.
we did a long distance relationship for
Oh,
like a long time.
how big's Michigan? Sorry, please forgive me. Because, like,
Oh, should I do the Michigan?
yeah, because, like,
Here's Michigan. Here's the Mitt on the bottom, and here's the Upper Peninsula.
okay,
So that's the map of Michigan.
right.
So whenever you're from Michigan and you say, "I'm from right here," that's
Mm-hmm.
what you do. You whip that mitten up, and
Really?
yeah, when you're from Michigan, or you go, "Oh, I'm from the UP. I'm from up here."
That is bonkers.
We're a little goofy. We're a little
I
goofy,
love that though. I
but
love.
we have our own maps, and Wisconsin has their map. This is Wisconsin's map right here. But anyway, I regress.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you know me, my cheekiness coming out.
I love that. Keep going. We love cheese
Um,
here.
so I graduated from college and went into the corporate world
Mm,
and still did the Catholic thing and went to because that's what I was. That's what my parents are. That's what my grandma had like a shrine in her. You drive into her house or into the driveway, and there's this huge like gazebo with Mother Mary underneath it with all these rose bushes, and it was her shrine to Mary and stuff. And
hmm
that was grandma. So I graduated from college and went off to the corporate world and did a lot of like retail was management, that kind of stuff. Used to have like, depending on the store, like 100 people under me. I was the store manager and stuff,
Wow.
and was really, really good at that. And was then moved to Wisconsin with Rob. We got back together and moved to Wisconsin with Rob, and really wanted to move up. I was very corporate driven and very wanted to move up and be like a district manager, be an area manager, be a regional manager. Um, didn't think I was ever going to be able to get pregnant because I have a tilted uterus and
Mhm.
there's something and all this kind of stuff, and the doctors always said you might have difficulty. So at a very young age, I always knew, that kids might not be in the picture for me. So I was okay with it. And so then I got pregnant after we were married. And when we were married, he's Lutheran, and I didn't get married in the Catholic Church.
Okay.
I got married on an island. And my mom never said she was upset, but I could kind of tell that she wanted the big, Catholic wedding and stuff.
hmm
But it just wasn't me, so I didn't do it. I mean, it was still my religion and I still practiced it and stuff. And because she kept saying, don't you want to get your don't you want to get your marriage blessed? And I'm like, why? Already knows I'm married.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Just because the priest is doing it
Mhm.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I had so I got pregnant and 9/11 happened and I had Ty 4 days after 9/11. I went into the hospital because um I started having labor pains and stuff, and he was 3 months early.
He was?
Yeah, yeah, it was 3 months early.
Wow.
And so he was very premature. He was in the hospital for 60 days, and he was 2 pounds, 12 ounces, and he was a big preemie.
Oh, wow.
And I remember I had sent Rob home because I thought the contraction stopped. I thought the contraction stopped, and all of a sudden they started up again. And I was panicked because I knew that the baby was coming.
hmm
And I'm like, my husband's got to be here. My husband's got to be here. And I was delivering Ty, and he wasn't there. And he came in right when Ty was born. And the nurses all said after that they thought that they saw that I had a wedding ring and stuff, but they thought that there was something. They're like, well, where's the husband? They're like, they felt bad because I remember like all these women being around me, like all the nurses, like about 8 of them being
Yeah.
around me when I was having the baby. And I think it was because they thought I was a single mom or something. I don't know. But what's hard when you have a preemie is that normally the baby gets laying on your chest. Well, I didn't even get to touch my baby until 2 weeks later. They went because he's in an incubator and all that, and he's under like his lungs were underdeveloped and
Okay.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we went through that. So that's when religion came back into my life pretty heavily
Oh, okay.
because I went to church and I prayed all the time, all the time, all the time. Because that's all I knew. I lit candles, I prayed. I I had lost my dad like he had he had died like what was it, 2 or 3 years before.
Mhm.
So it was just my mom. But it was like I remember thinking, oh, my dad will take care of him. My dad will take care of him. And, like, the spirit will come and take care of him if anything happens, kind of thing, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, well, I hope nothing happens to, the baby or whatever, because he was so premature, but he's fine, you know.
Mhm.
So after that, I got very into religion. We had Ty, and I wanted him to have a religion I because I had a religion, I wanted him to have a religion, and
Yeah.
that's all I knew.
Just
So I was just like,
okay, very
he's
interesting.
so I said to myself, and I told Rob when Ty was very little that I felt I like I would always hear my sisters tell me about their different experiences with, Catholic schools and stuff. And I always felt like I got gypped out, like, well, I didn't get to go, you
Mhm.
know? And my mom would always say, well, I got a Catholic education and it's like one of the best educations and blah, blah, blah. So when Ty was little, I always knew that I was going to send him to all the Catholic stuff. Like he was going to do primary, secondary, and high school and college. I was going to do the whole shebang because, I forgot about all those questions I asked.
Yeah, that's what you say. Like, yeah.
Well, I think it's just because I wanted him to have some sort of a religion, and I really didn't know any other religions other than that. And when I was in college, I had friends that, they burned sage and they had their crystals and stuff, but I wasn't really into I didn't gravitate towards that when I was like that age or whatever. So
I think that's
it came to me and it came to me later, you know.
I feel that's beautiful. There's no right or wrong with anything.
No.
Everything that you go through life, like religion or anything like that, it's there for a reason. It's there to help you on your path. It's there to help you on your journey. So in no way are we criticizing any form of
No.
religion here. And I just want to make that very, very clear because
No.
it's very important. It's very like it's much part of your journey, and you've chosen that to be part of your journey. So let's just make that very clear. We're
Yeah.
not like
Oh, all my family is still. So I mean it's not like I'm not around it still,
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know.
Like I've
Just
like
just saying.
yeah, my family in Ireland, they're all very Catholic. So, and I think it's beautiful, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, I'm not. It's just this is my journey. I'm just telling you my journey. And I'm not and I brought religion back into the forefront again. And so when Ty was probably 3, he was playing in the hallway.
Hmm.
And in the hallway, there's there were pictures. There's like pictures, like little, like younger pictures of my husband, younger pictures of me, and then younger, and then there's a picture of my dad because he had passed away. And and Ty will like always talk to himself and whatever. And he's having like this huge conversation in the hallway. So I walk out there and I go, "Who are you talking to?" And he goes, "Grandpa." I go, "What do you mean talking to Grandpa?" He goes, "Grandpa in the picture." Because he knew that that was Grandpa, because we would always walk by and I go, "Well, that's your Grandpa and he's in heaven."
Mm-hmm.
And, that kind of thing. And I didn't say anything. And I go, "Okay." And I go, "Well, you have a really good conversation with Grandpa and you tell him I said hi." Cause I was like,
Mm,
because I didn't, because then I remembered I didn't want him to have the same reaction
that
that
you
I got.
so you were breaking the cycle.
Yep. I didn't know that.
So this is maybe the reason why you went back into religion or back into the
Oh, yeah.
Catholic religion
Oh,
because you were breaking that cycle.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I didn't even, I never really thought it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I never thought about that
cycle.
one. That's a good one. Yeah. So, preface 2020.
Mhm. Right.
And we all know what happened in 2020. I don't even have to say it. Um, then my questioning head came back in.
Mm.
My questions that my inquisitive mind that I've always had was
Mhm.
kind of on the back burner a little bit. So it came to the forefront in 2020. And I started researching things, started looking up things. I really wasn't on social media at the time. Um, I remember on Fox they talked about Parlor,
Okay.
and it was a conservative, kind of like a.
Yeah, I
Were you
think
on Parlor? Yeah.
yeah, no, I
Well,
think I was on it, but I recall it being mentioned at some point.
so I went on there and I followed something called We the People, I want to say. And they were showing different videos of different people. Well, they showed a video of JCK
Mm.
and she did remote viewing. And I was fascinated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I followed her, and then I met Joanne. I saw different things of Joanne Dunn
Mm-hmm.
through JCK, and was fascinated by
Mm-hmm.
that, fascinated by dragon energy and that kind of stuff. Never heard of that kind of stuff before. Yeah, because you have to remember where I came from. I didn't have crystals. I didn't have,
No.
I mean, we had incense and we had frankincense and we had different things that the Catholic Church would bless us at certain times of the year. But, and then you have Ash Wednesday. But I wasn't around people um, with crystals, and I didn't really know of alternative anything.
Okay.
Nothing, nothing. Just stuff that I saw on TV, like, and to me it was like flower children, and that's cool because I have a couple friends that do that stuff or whatever, but like go out and sit under a tree and hug a tree and that kind of stuff, and that's cool, and I do that now, just
Yeah.
saying. But
Oh,
didn't do that then.
can I ask you something?
What's that?
Not to interfere or interrupt your beautiful story. So you have Thai.
Yeah.
You go back to the Catholic religion. You awaken
Mhm.
that version, that part of you.
Mhm.
Then 2020 hits.
Mhm.
What can I ask what the catalyst was for you to wake up?
Oh,
What was the
I
catalyst?
forgot to say that.
Yeah, what was the catalyst? And how did you feel knowing, like, obviously the belief system of the Catholic system and the Catholic religion, and then that catalyst that wakes you up, and then you step into, this world of JCK, Joanne Dunn, Dragon Energy, etc. How were you feeling through all of this? Like,
Okay. I
how,
forgot to
yeah, oh no,
mention.
so we need to talk about this. How did you feel with regards to all of that?
So when I saw JCK's video, other people were posting, um, and I don't remember the lady's name, but I remember it was a series. It was like a 13-part series,
Mm,
and it was called The Fall of the Cabal.
okay.
And I want to say her first name is Janet. Well,
I'm
anyway,
can't
hmm.
recall. Uh,
So I binge watched it,
mhm.
and one of the episodes was about the Vatican. And all of my everything like crumbled. And I was super upset with everything.
I know.
I felt lied. I felt betrayed. I did my own research.
Mhm.
I don't just listen to people. I just don't take their word for it. I just am not that kind of person. I I had to find out for myself.
Mhm.
So then I found out that my aunt, which was my mom's sister at the time, um, she was really Catholic, and she didn't like the way the church was going. And I didn't know this. And she actually changed religions
Okay.
at that time, which was interesting.
Mhm.
And so my sister told me that because I called up my sister and I was like, I don't get this.
Mhm.
What's going on? She's like, yeah. She's like, I've kind of like known that for a while. And yeah, that's see, all three of my sisters kind of broke away from the religion and I didn't know why.
Okay.
And they had, you know, they had different things that they had woken up to in to that extent. You
Yeah.
know, we, I I believe if you want to have a religion, you want to have a religion, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. You just have to believe in it
Mhm.
and you have to believe in the cause. And I'm still a Christian, to a certain extent. I believe in there's certain things I can't give up. That doesn't, I don't go full blown one way or full blown the other. I'm kind of like doing my own thing and dabble a little bit in everything, kind of thing, and making it my own. And that's what you got to do is you got to make it your own. But yeah, that was like I remember walking in and talking to my husband about it and going,
Yeah. It can be,
"This is all a lie."
it's like an
But
eye
I felt like this. It
tonight.
was my whole life.
How did that make you feel, Jane? How did that make you
Well,
feel? Because like there will be beautiful souls out there.
mad,
Mhm.
upset, frustrated, betrayed, lied to,
By whom? By whom?
everything.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, beautiful. Because I feel with you sharing this part, you're going to be helping a lot of souls out there that's maybe awakened to the truths that are available if you just do the research.
And it's okay if you're so Catholic in that. It's just it was my journey, and it's not yeah, how can I explain this without it's it's the higher it's the higher echelon of people in that religion that is all I'm going to say. It's not the congregations and the people don't know.
Mhm.
They don't know what the Pope's doing. They don't know what, you
Nope.
know, the Vatican is doing. All you're doing is following the rules that they set. And then all of a sudden they make a rule and you're like, wait a second. You made the rule and we're based off of not believing in abortions. And now you're a-okay with it? Oh, okay. That that was my red flag right there. I was like,
Hmm.
just other things in general. And I'm not going to go into it too much, but that was so when people always say they're awakening, I'm like, oh man, okay, here it goes because it's not a pretty thing. It's not, it's not
Mm-mm.
easy. And everything that you thought was true is not.
It's not been.
So so after that, and I was still working, and then I after that I just couldn't wrap my head around being in the corporate world anymore. I just was like, I need to do something different, but I don't know what it is. What I don't know what it is. I don't know what the different is. And I sat down with my husband and I was like, I dread going to work. I don't like it anymore. Um, I don't it it all stemmed was, if they wanted to know if you got the, or not, and everybody would like flat out ask you. And I was working in a bank and they're like, so did you get it? And I'm like, well, you know what? It's really none of your business if I did or not. And I didn't understand why people that were private were getting into my business now, you know, about personal things. And so I just didn't feel the corporate world anymore. I just didn't resonate with it anymore. And I wanted to do something different. I just didn't know what it was. And I left my job and they were actually shocked because they were like, "Oh, you're such a really good employee, and is this like sabbatical? Are you going to be coming back?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not coming back. No, it has nothing to do with you. I need to spend time with my family. Um, I need to do this on my own, and I'm, I need to figure out what I want to do. I need to figure out how I want to grow
Yeah,
up in life. I need to figure out what I want to do here.
yeah.
But
It's like, can I interfere here?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
of course you do. Like when you wake up, what's actually going on around you, your belief systems, etc. Like you said, you feel everything's been a lie, and you don't know what's right and you don't know what's wrong anymore. And that in itself can be really quite scary, like scary. And then you go through a motion where you can't bars. You can't bars. Like like you said, you didn't want to go back to your job. You didn't want to go back to your job because it just didn't feel right anymore. It
What?
just
It didn't make sense. It
yeah,
didn't
it
make sense
makes sense.
anymore.
Like nothing makes sense. And
Mm.
that when you awaken to all of that, that like this is why community is really important. This is why, myself and many other beautiful souls within my soul family are stepping up now and really getting the information out there, because there is lots of beautiful souls out there that, share information, etc. But there's like information that I feel needs to be shared in terms of like these stories, so you can relate, so you can feel that you're not alone in
Right.
all of this. You know what I mean? This is why it's important that you share this part, because I feel anyway, you do you, Jane, right?
Oh, no, no. Yeah, I want to. No, I want to.
Because like Jane, her foundation was her. her Catholic religion. Like, that was literally a rug taken from her.
Yeah.
And many other beautiful souls will have those rugs pulled from underneath their feet and go, oh my Lord. Like when I woke up to everything like yourself, I cried for days. Like I cried for days. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I can't like I didn't see it. I could,
I know.
you know
Like,
what
what were we
I mean?
thinking? Like, did we see this? I mean, what the hell?
But the interesting thing is that inquisitive part of me always knew that
I know. Me too. Me too.
the child always knew,
Me too.
did
Yeah,
always knew.
me
Right.
too. But I suppressed it
Yeah, I was surprised, pressed it. Carry on, Jane, darling.
because of what happened when I was little. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm looking into this shit and I don't care anymore. And I have to figure out what's going on. Not that we're ever going to find out, but I mean, at least I had, at least I could figure out like my end of it and what I wanted to do. And then, so then I delved in and I wasn't working anymore. Got to go, and my son at the time played collegiate men's volleyball, so I got to go spend time with him, got to spend time with my family, because when you work in the corporate world you don't get a lot of time off and you work so much, because I was striving to get higher up on
The
the corporate
ladder.
ladder. Yeah, because I wanted to make more money and do whatever. And you know what? Now I don't care. I don't care about money. I don't care about that. It doesn't matter. My family is what matters and stuff. So,
That falls away.
so, so I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I liked, and I found these channels, and then Parlor got taken down, so I found Telegram, and then I found Joanne Dunn, and I got on her Patreon, and so so she brings up, and she's like, do you hear the call of the dragon and that kind of stuff? And I'm like, what's that all about? And I'm like, and I did other workshops and did tuning forks and stuff, and really trying to figure out what I wanted to do, you know. And then I did dragon calling, and met a lot of great people,
Mhm.
family, and that was a whole nother thing. Anyway,
Amazing.
that's that's still going. That's an amazing journey. So I figured out that I like to tune with my voice.
Mhm.
I really like to do that. I really love, I've always loved glittery and sparkly things, and um, that kind of stuff. So I decided that I wanted to do, at first I was like, oh, should I do something with tuning forks, and should I make a business out of that, because tuning forks can move the energy out of your body, and I'm certified to do that and stuff. And that is a stepping stone, because what's great about our life is that it changes every day. So it's like things that I used to do yesterday might be different today. And I still love tuning forks, and I do incorporate them, but in a different way. And I'll explain a little bit more. But um, so I mean, life is just great that way. I just love that.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
fantastic.
yeah. And
So
then I discovered crystals and the different things of crystals. And when I found Joanne, I didn't know that we needed to protect our energy. Um, and I was like, wow, this makes so much sense, because I'm feeling everybody's energy, and I probably shouldn't be feeling everybody's energy, kind of thing. And so what was her like? Was a 21-day awakening, and it tell it
Yeah. 21 day awakening. So,
it's a workshop. She goes through like how
yeah,
to do
but
cleansing and protection and all that kind
I
of stuff.
myself, when I first like went through that awakening, etc., and pulled my head out of 3D into 4D and went, ah, that's when I done
Yeah,
that awakening journey. And I think it's
yeah.
still available if you I'll
I
leave
think it is too.
is
I think
and if people are feeling pulled, I'll leave our beautiful Joanne's details to maybe go and have a look at that if it's something that you're feeling pulled to do.
yeah. So I discovered that and did the dragon journey and discovered that the dragons have always been around me all my life. I always thought I had a imaginary friend, as my parents would say. I had to preface that because when I would play with um, Rosie,
Yeah.
and then Rose ended up being coming through as my white dragon. So,
And you were drawing this stuff when you were a
and I
kid.
was drawing.
See the
Yeah.
child innate knowing. Okay, let's delve a little bit
Okay,
into the dragons a little bit because there are people
okay,
that may be watching this that may be going,
yeah,
dragons, like, come on. And people will,
I know.
and they will, and that's
I
okay.
know.
That's okay because you think dragons are like mystical and they're in the books and blah blah blah. However, that's another rabbit hole for you to go down if you choose to go down that rabbit hole. If you look at certain texts, if you look at certain books,
Even in the Bible, the
even in
dragon.
the Bible, the dragon is mentioned. It's everywhere. There is, can you remember the guy, Mud Fossil? Mud Fossil that Joanne put us on to. Remember
Oh,
Mud Fossil? Look
he
up
was
Mud,
from a university, wasn't he?
Look
Yeah,
up
I
Mud,
can't.
no,
Yeah,
Mud Fossil on
wasn't it YouTube?
YouTube. He
Yeah,
has some beautiful,
fascinating.
fascinating and factual information about dragons and giants and all those different things. Because as I've believed in life, and I've always said this, in terms of your books and what you're reading and what you're looking at, and the stories that they tell when you're younger, etc., there's never any smoke without fire, really.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. The
I'm
dragon
sorry.
had the breath, right? And there isn't. So all I'm going to say is just have a very open mind with what we're saying here at this moment in time, because people go dragons, really, dragons. It is a beautiful energy to encompass into your life. It's a beautiful energy to become aware of because I'd hate to tell you, everyone in some way or form are dragon. What I
Or
will
they
say,
got a dragon.
yeah, or they got a dragon. What I will say is there's symbolism. Jane
Yeah.
mentioned symbolism. There's symbolism everywhere you look that points you to this. But you just have to look. Okay. And that's where we're gonna leave that there.
Yeah.
Everybody has choice, everybody has free will. You may be,
All I'm gonna say is that, everybody knows about angels and archangels and all that kind of stuff. And I just think that the dragons get a bad rap. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, think about it. You got in Eastern philosophy, which is like the Chinese and the Japanese, and that that depict dragons as uh very good things. Like when you go to a Chinese restaurant, there's all kinds of dragons in there or whatever. It's the Western religions like the states and that depicted it a little bit different, you know. So,
Yeah, the UK, they've got George slaying the dragon. And then
you
by
know,
Michael slaying.
here's a deal on that. Just like there's good people and bad people, whatever. Good dragons and bad dragons. Why can't there, there's good dragons and bad dragons. We know that.
Good and bad and everything. That's called
Yeah,
duality. That's called the.
exactly. Exactly.
We
Exactly.
all have that within us. There's going to be good and there's going to be bad. That's okay.
So I learned a lot about myself when I went through um, dragon calling and stuff. So um, to me, it brought up a lot of different things that I needed to heal, especially like inner child stuff, and especially like things from my childhood that I didn't even know that I needed to heal, like different memories and stuff. So um, when you deal with dragon energy, they're very, they want you to be non-judgmental, and they want you to trust, and I feel them as very nurturing energy. I feel them as motherly
Mhm.
to me, you know. But they are super powerful. It's super powerful energy, though. You gotta
Yeah.
harness it.
What's really interesting is if you look at society on a whole, they kind of tell you something's really bad for you when actually it isn't really bad for you. It almost feels like they depict this in the stories, oh, they're so bad and they're thinking, they must be slayed. Really? This is where all the different perspectives come in and the different belief systems and where you are in terms of, seeing everything on a whole. Are you just going to go with what one person said? Are you going to go with, you must do this, you must do that? This is what this whole part of this journey is finding your own way, like Jane mentioned, is finding your own way. And it's questioning whether that works for you, whether that feels like truth for you. And it's not taken for gospel how we've always been programmed throughout our whole life that you must follow the leader and that you must follow this way. And it removes ourselves from questioning anything. So when you wake come to that point of awakening, like Jane did in 2020, you go back into that questioning, but her inner child always knew to question everything. Goosebumps.
Everything.
Everything. So think back to your childhood. Did you question? Have you questioned? If something comes into your reality, do you just like robotic follow that and go ahead with it, or have you questioned?
And another thing to question, or another thing to think about is don't get into the mindset of, well, this is the way it's always been, and there's, and I can't question it because it's been this way for 5,000 years or whatever. Well, that's when you should question it, because how do you know that it's even the right way?
How does anybody know?
Because it's just like, I'm just going to preface with this. When you're younger, and in America we would call it the telephone game, and you have like a bunch of people sitting around in like a half circle, and you have one person that knows the sentence, and they whisper it to the first person, and then it goes through, and then the last person stands up and says the question, and it's completely different than what the first person says.
Mhm. We call
So
that
what is that?
Chinese whispers in the UK. We call
Oh,
that.
really? Oh, that's cool. We call it the telephone.
That's epic.
It's a game. I remember doing that. But so, well, and the same thing with books. It's like, if you think about a book is it's a perspective of one person. And so, or a collaboration of people or whatever. Well, just like my views today might be different than Carrie's views, but you got to pick it. You got to like pick and choose. You got to make it yourself. You can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to believe that person because
Mhm.
that's just the way it is. no, you need to question everything. Question me, question everybody,
Question is,
question everything, question yourself.
I
Don't
like,
believe everything on the internet either. Oh, I mean,
no.
you can find a lot of good nuggets on the interview on the internet, but you need to like,
Hmm.
and what I do, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Carrie.
Oh.
Um, I really sit, and if it feels good to me in my heart,
Hmm.
I'm really good about intuition. I've always been. I really, really like my gut. It's like that gut instinct, your intuition. Don't second guess yourself either, because that's what I used to do, is second guess myself. I take the first one and it's usually right. And just go to your heart, and if it feels really good, go with it.
Yeah. Go with it. Go with what, like you said, that ego comes in. What's the ego? The ego is that version of yourself that doesn't want you to move
It's your
forward.
mind chatter.
Yeah, it's your mind chatter, that monkey mind that wants you to
Yeah.
remain stuck. When you recognize that that's the ego that's coming in, like Jane said, normally the first thought that comes to your head is
Oh, that's
the right answer. That's your intuition. That's your knowing. That's the inner child knowing, that indication to go with it. And then we allow the chatter to come in and like take over as such. And it's interesting, like with what you were saying with the books, because like books, if people like pick it up and perceive it differently, and I know this because I'm currently writing a novel at this moment, right?
okay.
And we're not going to go into the depths of
No,
what the novel's about, right?
sorry.
No, but it's really interesting.
I, I'm sorry. Whew. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Whew. All right.
Oh,
Good.
it's
I'm
really
good.
interesting.
Good.
Oh dear, it's really interesting as you read the novel because how I've wrote it, people have said that they see it like a film, but people see it differently. Okay, right?
See, I thought, okay, see, I thought that everybody did that. And
Mm,
April and I were talking, and April and I see a, I like depict everything. When I read a book, I'm like watching the movie in my head. I know who the actors are. And I didn't know, like, so I mean, I can see it. I didn't know that some people don't do it that way. I
no.
just thought that was just normal.
Some people will feel it.
Yeah.
Some people will smell it. Like people perceive things in many different ways. Where am I getting with this? What you perceive, like Jane said, I'm very visual, Jane's very visual. But how you perceive the world around you, like a book, and the way you see certain things, don't disregard it,
Right.
okay?
Absolutely.
As that may be a skill set of yours. What do I mean by that? Well, you've got the clairs, right? You've got the clair knowing, the clairaudience, the clair, help me out here. I can't remember all the clairs. But you've got
There's like 5 or 6 of them. I don't know.
yeah, the
Smell,
feeling,
taste,
clair knowing.
seeing,
Yeah. So
feeling. Yeah.
the reason why I brought up the novel and the book and the movie sort of thing is how do you see things? Have you ever asked yourself? How do you see things? How do you see yourself? Have you actually reflected back on your life journey? How have you seen your life journey? And this is like I feel a beautiful point in time in this reality in 2025. We're in what? By the time this airs, this will be February. So we're in February. We've already gone through January, and as you maybe noticed, like January's been a bit like of chaos for the world. And when we see chaos in our lives, and when we see chaos in awakening and seeing the whole truth and nothing but the truth, don't forget about the positive within that, the beauty within the chaos. Because from chaos, there always comes order. What does that mean? There always comes stability, that balance, that back to the connection of the self and the knowing within the self. This is what I believe. So, awakening as such, and our beautiful Jayne sharing our story, is nothing to be feared of. It's actually a beautiful part of the journey. Knowing everything around you, knowing the truths, knowing, your life, like everything you've always believed, is no longer a belief system. It's a beautiful opportunity to see the positive within that. It's a beautiful opportunity for you to grow. It's almost like a plant and getting your petals, like, taken off and allowing the new petals to bloom. Yeah, I'm not much of a plant, gardener. There we go, a planter. Gardener. I'm not much of a gardener, but you obviously remove, the dead stalks. We'll see the dead stalks as the old belief system and allow the new stalks to bloom within that belief system.
I like the symbolism of when you have a seed and you plant the seed in darkness, and then when it grows, it sprouts out and becomes a beautiful flower because you have to have darkness with light and there has to be polarity. So I've always liked that because I'm like a visual person, so I have to like see like, oh, okay, I get it now.
And it's beautiful.
Yep.
So, okay, before we finish off, you've done your journey, you've done the dragon energy, etc. Where are you now on your journey? At this point, in this present moment, where are you now?
So I opened up um an Etsy shop in November. And before that, I was creating different things and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to put on there. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to create. And I create from my heart and my soul. So whatever speaks to my soul, I really do. Well, the dragons speak to my soul. So I try to figure out how to make something beautiful for the dragon energy. And so I make coasters with molds for the different dragon energy with crystals that I infuse um, with my love and with the dragon's love, and I charge it under a pyramid and all that good stuff. And and then each coaster is a different energy, and they can assist. They're not going to do everything for you. They're going to assist you in whatever you need to move through with the energy. Like this one is the Earth Dragon coaster, and
Epic.
this is more for like, like if you want assist with like grounding and centering and that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to show you just to get an idea of what it looks like.
So you can
So I
charge,
sit,
sorry to interrupt. So can you charge your water or
yeah,
your stuff?
food. You
Okay.
just all you do is set the intention, like, I just, want to charge my food with the energy of grounding or whatever you want to do with this particular coaster. And I love it because it relaxes me and
Mhm.
it gets my creative juices going. And I've always been creative. I just kind of put it on the back burner when I was doing the corporate thing. And then I tone with my voice. And when I make them individually for the person that um are buying it. So I really like tune into the energy that they're feeling at that moment, and I tune with it. And when I mean I tune, I tone, I just hum and I get a frequency in my head that I want to do. And then what I do is I tape it and I record it and then I send it to them too so they can hear and feel what my voice feels like for them when I'm making this for them. So it's pretty cool. Love
Yeah.
it.
That's
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
really,
And
really.
then I tune them with my tuning forks, and the reason why I do my voice is because I've used when I had the tuning forks, I would kind of mimic the tuning fork when I was doing it. And I'm like, I can do this with my voice. And then I would practice in the bathtub because the water is a really good conductor. And
Mhm.
I would practice with my voice and stuff and really tune in. And now I just tune in with whatever I feel. It's whatever I feel.
That's
Pretty
epic.
cool.
It
Yeah, I
is
love it.
cool.
Pretty cool.
It is really cool. So,
Would you ever have thought? No.
no, going from corporate into creating these beautiful coasters, attuned with all these energies, again, there goes that inner child.
Yeah, absolutely.
There goes that inner child and
Absolutely.
allowing yourself to play, and we all forget to play sometimes. We do. We need play
Absolutely.
in life as much as we need food, air, water. You need to play in amongst that mix. And then it brings me to the point of we're actually creator beings. We're here to create. We're here to create. We're not here to conform. Sorry. And I'm like, uh-oh. Well, there we go. There's a rebellion within me. We're here to create. Because we're creator beings. We are.
Well, we have God and we have creator, and then we have our creator beings.
Mhm.
Yep, I agree.
Absolutely. And you can create, you can still have a job and still create. I'm not saying give up your work and go create. No, 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 no. You've got to do what's
Oh,
right for you.
yeah.
But we're creator beings. And, allow yourself to play. Whatever that looks like, connect back into your childhood. What did you do as a child? What did you love? Did you love making those mud pies? You know what I
So
mean?
maybe just make real pies then.
But just make real pies.
Yeah.
Just connect back into that child. Try it. Trust me, it's epic. If there's snow where you are, get outside. Do your snow angels, roll down a hill, go sledging. Like, if you love water, go play in the water. Just do what you feel your child would love.
I always feel so much better after I get out in the sun and just walk barefoot. I know it's hard with winter and everything right now, but just getting out in the sun just really helps and getting that fresh air and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah.
beautiful. Even in Scotland, obviously, we won't be getting temperatures like your temperatures, but even just getting out and underneath the sun, regardless of the warmth, is really good for you. Really, really good for you. So, beautiful
I had
Jim.
so much fun today.
No, we're winding up. I think there's
I
lots of
know.
golden nuggets within this conversation, like I really do within your story that can help a lot of beautiful souls. Thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah.
Thank you for being real. Thank you for being authentic and truthful and a beautiful soul and your bravery in sharing your story.
You. Yeah, thank you.
Because there's beautiful souls out there that, I'm one of them. I don't like you're like, what a load of rubbish. I don't like to talk as much. I suppress quite a lot. So these podcasts are really important for myself, for you guys, but also for a platform for beautiful souls to share their journey and their experiences.
I don't think I've ever shared. Well, I've shared, but not quite all of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people realize that I had a, okay, I shouldn't say I don't have a, I still, I still love I like to make things my own now. So I like dabble in like other things or whatever. And I still love that aspect of Christianity. I still love that. I still love Christmas. I still love that. And that's always going to be me. And
Mhm.
just because I'm doing something different doesn't mean you can't,
No,
that's always going to be me.
God.
But you know how sometimes it's like all or nothing? And it's like, why does it have to be all or nothing? Why can't you have a little bit of everything?
Nah, you can have
You
that
know,
balance.
make it your own.
Yeah, make it your own. Make what's
Yeah.
right for you because you're the creator being. You have
Right.
all this truths and information, etc., around it. So make it your own, but make it your own for what's right with your soul. What feels good for your soul. Yeah. In your soul, I'm talking about your heart. Both hearts, your high heart and your natural heart. I'm covering my boobies whilst I do that.
Oh,
Sorry.
good Lord.
Yeah, I
That's all
know.
right.
It's just who I am. So, any parting words of wisdom? We'll move on. Any parting words of wisdom that you would like to share?
Oh,
Uh,
just have fun with life. Just have fun. Just make it your own. Have fun. You know, do things you like, do things you love. Um, be it going out and splashing or, or go dancing outside, but do what makes you feel good. Do what makes you feel have your heart like sing, make your soul sing. Just
hmm,
that's all I
find,
can say is just have fun. Just have fun with life. Because
find what
life is crazy. I don't
mm,
want to manifest that, but you know what I mean? It's just like it's crazy
yeah.
right now.
Find what makes your soul sing. Like who knew? I didn't even know I'd be writing novels. I am having the time of my life writing these novels. I am loving it.
It's so funny that you said that because on my Etsy
Mhm.
shop, I have one sentence and it says, I create or I make creations that sing to my soul because you gotta love it. You can't just you
No,
just can't mass produce. You just can't. You gotta love it. And I want to do it from a really good place.
no.
I want to do it from a place of assisting people and helping people
Mhm.
because I want them to be able to take that, do whatever they want, make it their own, and then maybe figure out what they want to do and eventually.
Mhm. Take it from there. And trust me, it comes so unexpectedly. You don't know. You don't know. You just get the notion, you get the feeling, you get the knowing, and you just go for it. And just go for it. Don't even question it. Don't even second doubt it. Just jump in, all feet, and trust. Trust the process. As
Well,
a
the process for me was going to be I was going to work on people with tuning forks and stuff. That's what I was going to do. I really love that too. But I incorporate it with this. And
nice.
I learned to use my voice and how to tone with the tuning forks with my voice. So it was a stepping stone. You always have stepping stones.
And that's your practice stepping stone because I feel you stepping into much more
Yeah.
when you're comfortable, when you're
And
ready.
don't limit yourself either. Like just because this is me right now doesn't mean that it's going to be me,
No.
but don't think about that. Just let it come naturally.
Oh, trust me, and I've had to learn the hard way.
I can
So,
say that, but
mhm.
it's a tricky one.
Yeah, it is a tricky one.
Just trust yourself though. That's all I can leave with is you got to trust yourself and you got to trust your intuition and you got to trust your first thing that comes in. Don't like go, I'm not sure about that. Don't second guess yourself at all. Nope,
Mhm. Go with it.
not at all. Just go with it.
That
Just
feel,
run with it.
that sense, that oh, something's not right. Go with it.
I have this like I feel like I'm gonna throw up. It's kind of a weird thing. You know how Emma gets goosebumps?
Mhm.
Well, I get this like I feel like this knot in my stomach, like this like upset stomach feeling when I know that it's like the truth.
Yeah, you get that,
Kind of a yeah, it's kind of a
and
like it feels like
I get as if somebody's doing
tingles.
it at the top of my head. Like Emma gets goosebumps. Sometimes I'll get a shiver up my spine and
Oh,
like
I do too.
tingles, but majority of the time, if I'm like on to truth or something, I
Or
just
like the hair on your necks like stand up or feel. I get that too sometimes.
just feels like somebody's like touching my head, going, "It's right, it's right, it's right."
Holy Moses, Carrie, we've been on here. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So it's been a long one, but I think it's been a very important one. Might do it in two parts. I don't know. Nah, people can watch it in stages. It's all good.
what I do. Sometimes when it's a long one, I'm like, oh, I'll watch it for half an hour. Okay, I'll come back or
I
whatever.
do
But
that. I do that. I watch it in stages. Anyway, okay. So, with that being said, we're going to finish this episode of StarFlower Journals. I thank you all for watching, and if you've stayed here to the very end, thank you very, very much for your time and your energy. Thank you to our beautiful Jayne for
Thank
her
you.
time, her energy, and sharing her story with all, because these stories are super important. And if you feel that, I would love to share my story and you're sitting there with doubt, hit me up. I'm not a dragon. I am, but I'm not how portrayed in that way. It's like I welcome anybody with open arms. I'm here to create that safe space for you to share with the all. So please, if you feel that it's something that you would like to do, step forward. Step forward. And again,
And I was like second guessing. Can you believe it? I was like, oh, a little nervous, but it was fun. Thank you so much. I appreciate it and I loved it.
yeah.
And you know what? And that's what I sat with last night when I was like, if somebody can, just hear my journey, like maybe, everyone's different and everyone doesn't have the same journey. And it's like, and mine was just like till 2020, I was doing the same stuff. And it's like, if somebody else is in that same thing and everyone's going to be awakening at different times too. So whatever can help somebody, I'm
Yeah.
hopefully this will help somebody.
Oh, I believe and know that it will.
Nuggets,
Nuggets, the golden
nuggets,
nuggets, just
nuggets of wisdom,
nuggets.
nuggets of truth.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
And I'm gonna say like, share, subscribe if you feel that it resonates, not for any other reason than getting the information out there, getting
Yeah.
Jane's story out there, and helping beautiful souls. Another thing I will do as well, and which I forgot to mention, Jayne, is I'll
Yeah.
put Jane's contact information in the
Oh,
description
sure.
box. So if you feel like you want to go and have a look at beautiful Joanne, beautiful
We were
Jayne,
talking about Joanne.
I know, beautiful Jane's creations, please go check them out because they're absolutely stunning. And I know they're made with pure intention and pure love from her heart. So please give them a wee check because they'll be able to help and assist you on an energetic level. And yeah,
Or they're just pretty.
or they're just pretty.
Or
Yeah,
they're just pretty, you
yeah, they're
know.
just pretty. And I like pretty things. I think we all do. Yeah.
I love pretty. Oh, please. Yeah, I love pretty things. I love anything with glitter and color and yeah, I love
Oh,
pretty
the more
things.
color, the better.
Yeah.
Rainbow! All right, okay, sorry.
Carrie breaks out in song. Watch, she'll be dancing back there in a minute.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I will be. Trust me. The music will be going on as I like shake my booty. This is a regular occurrence, and that's okay because it's my joy.
I'm so proud of Bear for not like coming in.
He came.
Bear is Carrie's dog, and
Yeah.
so sometimes he just has to come and say hi.
Yeah, he comes to say hi and then he kind of takes over the screen. He likes a little bit of stardom, taking over that screen.
He, well, he is very cute. He's a very cute dog.
He's a very handsome dog. He made his appearance twice, didn't you, babe?
Oh no, here he comes.
Oh, it's fine though. The time I call on him and we're talking about him, he doesn't come. Bear! Nope, he's right
Oh,
underneath me and he
oh
won't come.
well,
Oh well.
that's fine. That's fine.
Anyway, they got to see cameos of him throughout.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, it was fun. It was so much
Right.
fun today.
Yeah,
Thank you
it was
so much.
fun.
Appreciate it.
Right. I bode you well. Love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
And we'll see you next week for episode 11. Okay,
Bye.
bye. Bye.